All right, problem number 4. Bill E. Goat came to a toll bridge that had a sign stating that the toll taker would double the customer's money each time he crossed the bridge, but then the customer would have to pay $1.20 per crossing. Bill decided to cross the bridge three times and see how the system worked. Sure enough, each time Bill crossed the bridge, the toll taker doubled his money and then took $1.20 in toll charges. After the third crossing, Bill was surprised that when he had paid his $1.20 fee, he found himself with no money. How much money did Bill start with? Alright, well, I'll show you a couple different ways to do this. Now, probably the most natural way, if you've had algebra, the most natural way would be, to say, well, let's say that x is the amount of money Bill starts with. Okay? Because x is what we're looking for. And, then we could say, well, okay, so he starts with x, and the toll taker on his first crossing doubles his money and then takes $1.20. And on the second crossing, he takes that, doubles it, and takes $1.20. Okay? And then the third crossing, he doubles the whole thing and takes $1.20, and then we know that at the end, Bill has $0. And then we can just solve that equation. It's not too bad. So, we can distribute this 2. Alright. And so then we get 4x minus 240. Okay. And that's still minus 120. And the whole thing is multiplied by 2. And less $1.20. Okay, we're just simplifying this equation. Okay, we can keep going, and we can distribute this 2. We have distributed all the way through. We can actually make this equal to what? That's 360 minus 360. Okay, so we'd have to distribute it to that as well. So we get 8x minus $7.20, and then we subtract 1.2, and that's equal to 0. So we have what? We have 8x minus 840 is equal to 0. And so 8x is equal to 840. So x, we just divide by 8, x is equal to $1.05. Okay, that's one way to do it. And if you've had algebra, that's probably the first way you'll go for, because algebra, once you know it, it's such a powerful tool that you automatically reach for it when you are solving problems like this. Okay, so it's natural once you've had algebra to reach for algebra, because you'll find that it's just such a powerful tool. If you haven't had algebra, you might go for another method. And one thing that happens when you learn algebra is that sometimes because it's so powerful, you go straight for it and you forget to think about things that you might have otherwise thought of if you hadn't had algebra. There's nothing wrong with that. It's perfectly natural. But let me show you the other way. The other way is just to work backwards. Okay? And it turns out to be a little bit simpler. And if you haven't had algebra, this is probably the way that you might have, gone straight for. Backwards. Oops, backwards. Okay, and that's just to start. Okay, so let's actually draw it backwards. So he ends with 0. And you know that the toll taker took $1.20. So he must have had $1.20 before he paid that. And before he doubled his money, he must have had 60 cents, right? Because the toll taker doubled his money first and then he took $1.20. So he ended up with 0. So this represents the last crossing that he did. Okay? So on the second crossing, we know that he took $1.20, so he must have had $1.80. Okay? And before he doubled his money, then he must have had 90 cents. Okay? So that represents the second crossing. And now we'll go back to the first crossing. We know that he had to have had $1.20 more than that, so that makes it what, $2.10. And so then before he doubled his money, he had to have $1.05. Okay? So that's another way to think about it, is just to work backwards and just sort of undo the doubling as well. Undo the, adding the $1.20, which is subtract a dollar. Well, he's subtracting $1.20 here, so we're going to add $1.20 and then have it. Add $1.20 and then have it. Add $1.20 and then have it, because that's just the inverse functions of subtracting $1.20 and doubling. Okay, so to work backwards, we have to do the inverse functions to the amounts. All right, so that's another way to look at it. Either way, you get $1.05 for the amount of money that Bill started with. And in case you're wondering about the Billy Goat, there was a story, I don't know if kids learn this story anymore, about the three Billy Goats gruff, and this problem reminded me of the three Billy Goats gruff, so I called the guy Billy Goat. So this is sort of the modern Billy Goat gruff story. Instead of a troll under the bridge, and we've got a toll taker taking the guy's money. So so there you go. Billy Goat started out with $1.05 before he crossed the bridge 3 times.